We're back on the bottom line with your host, Ryan Herpin. And today we're talking about such a powerful thing, effective communication. And we have a wonderful guest, Mr. Todd Wall, someone who's becoming a good friend of mine and somebody that I'm looking up to. And I want to start digging into another topic that's still surrounding communication, but we're going to look at the keys to effective communication. Todd, it's such a pleasure to have you with us.
I love it. I'm excited to get to the bottom line. Let's jump in.
So I want to kind of avert the shift a little bit into more of a focus, right? What are the key strategies people can use right now to become more effective in their communication?
I'm a believer in trusting frameworks. So the goal that we're trying to get to in communication is get out of your head. So you need to get out of a scripted environment. All of the shows we have here, they're non-script environments. You need to get to a place where you're having an authentic communication with someone else. And so I believe in building frameworks in order to serve like stepping stones in order to get from point A to point B. If I need to get across a river, across a stream, I'm going to choose safe places to place my foot here, then here, then here. And when I'm on each one of those, I'm 100% just on that. Because the problem in communication is you've got this picture of how you want it to look ahead of time. You got a picture in your mind of how you want to be portrayed. And you've got a picture many times of how you specifically want to say things. And if you've got all of those things swimming in your brain when you're trying to communicate, then you're just going to get to that stream and you're not going to pay attention to where your feet are specifically going because you're thinking about 3 steps ahead and what just happened behind and what might happen. Oh, look, your brain is going a million different places. So I believe in frameworks.
I really like that.
Just being the goal is so that you can be exactly where you're at. The conclusion of the message will take care of itself. The call to action will take care of itself. The explanation, the analysis of your point, it will take care of itself when you are there. But only be right where you are.
It's funny the way you say that. I feel like that almost is speaking directly to me as someone that inspires to be a speaker for a living. It's letting it come natural. Let it flow out of you. Let that passion take control and deliver the message, deliver the communication in a framework that not only is understandable, but yet can make that impact at the same time. And there's a lot of strategies to do that.
You know, and you did that very well, even in the first segment of this show. One of the primary frameworks that we operate here is how we break down the problem that the audience is feeling. And so, and a lot of this comes from Donald Miller with StoryBrand, but I love how you break down the problem into 3 individual parts. So what is the literal physical problem that the audience is actually facing? They're dealing with X, Y, and Z. But then how does it feel to them? Well, and it feels like 1, 2, 3. Why is this something that needs to change? And if it changes, what does happily ever after look like? Or what does a dumpster fire really look like? You know, and the simplicity of that framework, you've seen that throughout stories, movies, throughout time. You know, that is the dragon. The dragon just came in, burned our village, and stole the princess. And now everyone is feeling scared, wet, and just petrified that the dragon's going to come back and steal their daughters. What happened? What is the dragon lurking right around the corner? That's why we have to hire the hero that has the magic sword that can go and defeat the dragon so that he does not come back for our daughters and destroy our village again. You ever heard that pattern before?
I would like to say you're employing the perfect example of clarity and simplicity all at the same time, because breaking it down to a little story like that, or I like to say a parable even,
Mm-hmm.
it makes it easy to digest, to understand and connect to, and to get that feeling of, man, yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense. And at the same time, I'm looking at this communication from a different perspective, right? I'm right now in the position of I'm trying to listen to you.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes me want to ask another question about what role does active listening play in that effective communication?
Active listening is really about, are you actually in the conversation? If I'm thinking about what I'm going to say next, I'm not in an authentic communication. If I'm thinking about what's the next point on my outline, I'm not in communication. I'm not in the moment. So like even the frameworks, when you talk about the problem and when you go into talking about how it feels, just be right there. Camp there. Feel it. Feel what that other person is going through so that that's the active part of it. You're dancing in the moment with the audience and with the person listening. If it's on video, you have to picture who that other person is. So you're talking to a specific person and it's a dance. How do you do active listening? You're dancing with that person. I had a coaching session with someone who was nervous about doing leading a group of people, and it was beautiful. She was a Latin woman, and that coaching conversation, I said, would it be fair to say, as a Latin woman, dancing probably comes really natural to you? She goes, well, yeah. In my mind, she quoted Shakira. Yeah, these hips don't lie. So the dance comes natural. I said, okay, great. So when you're leading this situation, when you're leading that team, what if it was a dance? Now, when you're dancing with someone, are you pre-scripting all of the moves ahead of time? Well, she said, well, no, I know this move. I know that move. I know this move, whatever the secret is. I know the literal elements. Yeah. Okay, good. So you've done the pre-work ahead of time. You know the specifics of the Cabbage Patch in order to bring that power that you and I know is the Cabbage Patch. But so I said, so when you're in that moment, when I was talking to her, I said, when you're dancing with someone, how do you know what to do next? She said, you hear the music, you see that other person, and you just automatically know where to go next. Oh, so what you're saying is when you're dancing in the moment, it automatically comes to you instinctively. So it's okay to trust yourself in that moment.
Okay.
Versus the middle-aged white guy that can't dance is trying to pre-script everything and walk into that dance moment, and he's trying to cabbage patch. Like, okay, dude, that's not even the song that's on right now. Bro, you're missing the music. That's why no one's dancing with you.
Hey, man, you don't got to take a personal shot at me like that just because I can barely get that Cabbage Patch out. No, I love that. That makes a lot of sense. It's that natural flow, that natural feeling, right? But at the same time, I think it really does require a sense of vulnerability.
Absolutely.
You've got to be willing to just be natural.
In that moment. Yeah, and active listening is the core of trusting yourself in that moment and not going back to your notes, not going back to your message, but being comfortable being in the moment with that other person. They might say something that throws you off, but you know what? You're probably going to react to it okay.
I feel like we could boil this down to a sense of authenticity.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, so I think that's a really good way to put that. It's just a sense of authenticity and genuine intent in communication. And I think it really does have a common denominator of relationship.
Yeah, I mean, even from stage, if you're on stage with a group of people, what if you viewed that as you're dancing with those people? Does that change your perspective? Does that change your posture? Does that even change how you want to communicate?
I
That's
would say that definitely has to impact that perspective.
that's shifting from one-way communication, which was that blind spot, to I'm now having a dialogue. And that's when you come up with like the technique I mentioned earlier. Here's the complex thing. How would that look in your world? In your role, Steve, in your role, we want to implement this culture principle of 1, 2, 3. What would that look like for your role? Interesting. Okay, now Susie, for your role, what would that look like for you? That same principle. How would you apply that? And it's just this head turn. Interesting.
Yeah, it's funny that boils back to a lesson that took me so long to learn as I pursued leadership roles in different businesses. My mentor had this funny way of having extremely efficient communication, and all he did was ask questions. That's all it boiled down to. He knew the end destination. He had the objective in mind. It's like if we needed a solution, he wouldn't give me the solution. He just asked all the questions to lead me to the solution.
Do you know why that's so powerful? I can talk at people all day long, but it's what they choose to act on that matters. Remember, that's the proof of that we connected. That those questions toss the ball back to the other person. It gives them the opportunity to have authority of their own decisions. It brings them into the conversation. Boy, you better get us out of this segment.
Yeah, this is good. This is good stuff right here. I think we could go on this for hours. I love this conversation. I'm excited to ask deeper, more questions, just kind of overall. We could talk about this for days, no doubt. So please make sure you grab pen and pad if you're coming back to us, because we're going to have a lot more Todd Wall in the next segment. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back soon on The Bottom Line.